Welcome to Mouseburg, fellow detectives. Today, I'm going to discuss the world of Mouse, PI for Hire, in all its glory. I won't really discuss much of the story as it progresses, mainly to avoid any major spoilers. Plus, I think this is a world best discovered from within. Although you can watch my playthrough videos, link in the description, if you want to dive in along with me. Now, this game isn't like the other games I normally cover on this channel, but I had a lot of fun with it, and I really wanted to discuss the world building a little bit. So it does fit the theme of the channel, even if it's a bit of a stretch. So if you like the video, please hit like. And if you really like it, subscribe. That'd help me out. And of course, despite my efforts to avoid it, this video does contain mild spoilers for the story of Mouse, PI for Hire. Alright, let's get into it. Mouseburg, in the 1930s. The dance halls are alive with the sound of jazz and the city smells faintly of cheese. That's just the surface. Look a little deeper and you'll see what lies beneath, where the gears really turn. High up in the fancy buildings live the big mice, the ones with money, while the destitute and downtrodden exist only in the back alleys and tenements. And bubbling beneath that surface, the rumblings of conflict, of war. Shrews and mice live together, sure, but in reality, they're worlds apart. Power stays where it's always been, and it comes down hardest on those who have nothing to fight back. And it looks like someone wants to keep it that way. Someone with a lot of power and a lot of smarts. The clues are everywhere, from the gangs of fake cops taking shrews away in the night to the rumors of strange happenings in hidden places. Killings are an ugly thing, and when the assassins aim a little higher, well, the plot really thickens, and everything gets mixed up. No matter how strange it all gets though, someone has to untie all those knots. And that someone is Jack Pepper, PI for Hire. I suppose it's just a matter of following the trail, keeping your nose to the ground, and watching to whom the cheese really flows. In Mouseburg, nothing is taken for granted by the artists who made this world what it is. The world is as solid as any other we've traveled to so far, but this one's got a secret. One that you'll notice only if you turn slightly to one side. All the amazing characters and strange, fascinating objects, all the weird and wonderful effects and the visual gags, they're all really two-dimensional. I don't mean ontologically. I mean that this world is made up of two-dimensional images, hand-drawn and superimposed in such a way that it gives us a new world to explore. Mouse, PI for Hire is a testament to the skills of artists and animators who can combine their talents to bring us into this amazing world but still show us what's behind it all. And so Jack Pepper moves through the dark streets of Mouseburg. He travels the unlit tunnels beneath, braves strange places and fights evil, and all the while, we're right there with him. Mouse PI for Hire brings us into a world not just filled with cartoon antics, but entirely built on them. The hosepipe animation, reminiscent of cartoons made nearly a century ago, doesn't just set the tone, it makes the world work. While the crazy physics of Mouse may not be much different from other games, it's a world in which they really feel like they fit. Your springy double jumps, the way you reload and fire your guns, the doors filled with enemies and the strange characters you meet. This is visual storytelling done exceptionally well. It isn't long before we understand the world we've stepped into, and there's a lot to explore. Jack spends a lot of his time out in the city collecting clues, knocking off bad guys, and generally trying not to get killed. It's a game he's been playing for a long time, and so far, he's always won. But even a seasoned detective and grizzled war veteran like Jack Pepper needs to rest from time to time, and when he does, he comes home to a little slice of the city he knows really well. It's this place, near his office, where all roads lead for Jack Pepper. He knows the locals, speaks the language, and no one much bothers him poking around down here. The Little and Big Bar is the first spot you'll likely encounter where you can relax, have a drink, play some cards, that sort of thing. Located right next to Jack's office, it's a real convenient spot for Jack to spend some time relaxing, or more likely listening for rumors from around the city. The Little and Big is kind of the focal point of the area. And of course, it's a place where you can lay down some cards and win cash, if you're feeling lucky. Run by a shrew named John Brown, Jack always finds something worth his time, whether it's a whisper or a drink. Soup to Nuts is another important spot. Just opposite the Little and Big, Soup to Nuts is run by a guy who looks like he's seen a lot. It's a place to load up on ammo of all kinds, and if you have the coins to spare, the old fella will sell you some cards you can add to your deck. Jack's office and apartment are right on the corner across from the Little and Big. It's up the stairs in a rundown old building overlooking the streets below. Jack's office is in the main room, and he uses the evidence board to keep track of the muddled up clues he finds. He's usually got guests waiting for him in here as well, or clients. Sometimes both. Further on in, Jack has a small apartment. It isn't much, but that's alright. He spends most of his time out digging into mysteries anyway. He does have a little space to store all his collectibles though, mementos of cases gone by. Most of what Jack really needs he keeps with him, and that's his guns, his fists, and a stash of cheese to get by when things start getting rough. The Micer is a fallback, and always handy in a tight spot, but as he works his way through the dark mysteries of Mouseburg, he'll pick up a few other useful tools, from shotguns that blast away his opponents to machine guns that throw bullets around like rain, guns that fire acid to eat away at enemy armor, or guns that freeze enemies solid. Jack has it all, and sometimes, when the going gets a little too tough, he's got a few sticks of dynamite to clear up some space. Depending on his mood, Jack has an itchy trigger finger, so it's a good thing people are nice enough to leave ammo lying around the place all the time. Of course, when things get up close and personal, Jack always has his fists. A boot to the face can come in handy from time to time as well. And if the odds aren't in his favor, which they usually aren't, there are all sorts of ways for Jack to even the score. Workplace safety and sanitation are really lacking in Mouseburg, because someone keeps leaving vats of explosive chemicals around. Also, tanks of ice? Come on, these can be blown up at range with a shot or two, or picked up and thrown or kicked towards oncoming enemies. And if Jack's ever stuck behind a rickety wall, a barrel explosion or a stick of dynamite will get him through no problem. I'm sure the bill for the property damage won't be too expensive. Like I said, Jack spends all his time chasing down leads and getting himself out of trouble, and that usually means he's got to be sneaky. There are all kinds of places he's got to get into without being noticed, at first anyway. Sneaking around in vents or hiding backstage at the opera aren't too tough. Finding his way across the city on old walkways and bits of wood is a little worse, but nothing he can't manage. The real trouble comes when he finds all the contraptions left behind to stump him. Puzzles and locks and deadly games. He's got to put all his skills to use and learn a few new ones along the way. He's got to figure out which switches to push, which levers to pull, and when he comes across a lock, he's always got his handy tail to pick it open. He'll eventually come face to face with the folks behind all the mayhem, and then he'll have to fight for his life. Things get rough, and the bosses don't go down easy. And just when he thinks he's got them beat, there's more. Life ain't easy for a private eye, but the music's not bad at least. The music scene in Mouseburg is crazy. Specifically, it's a mix of jazz and electro swing you won't find anywhere else. The sound sets up the world, and it couldn't be better for a hard-bitten noir story about a private eye in the 1930s, even if he is a mouse. Jack's theme is the tune you're going to hear the most. It's performed by Caravan Palace, whose work you can find on YouTube. They're a favorite of mine, actually, and it was when I heard they were involved in the soundtrack that I first got interested in the game. I urge you to go check them out, if their music's your thing, of course. Other contributing artists, and here I apologize for any mispronunciations, include Patrick Scalina and Kasper Vukolikshek. Again, I'm sorry if I mispronounced those. The music is amazing, and the soundtrack itself is worth picking up. I unfortunately can't play any of it here without risking some copyright, but I think I found a suitable replacement for the video. Link in the description for that too. Anyway, the music here really sells the world, which actually I'm going to get a little more into here in a moment. The politics of Mouseburg aren't really that complex, but there's a code of secrecy masquerading as propriety and social acceptance that hides some very dark truth. Mice and shrews live together, sure, but deep down, there's a divide of power and privilege, and those who have the upper hand are using it to benefit from the suffering of those without. Politicians and the wealthy spend their time waxing poetic about justice and truth to hide the fact that they're complicit in these crimes. When you understand how the game works, you see past the fragile curtain of social rules and see the bloody gears turning beneath. A million little crimes go unpunished because people are protected by wealth. And even deeper, well, then you start to see how it's all connected. Where does that leave the citizens of Mouseburg? Well, their troubles fall on our hero, and his friends, of course. Jack Pepper is a military veteran and former copper who left the force due to the overt mistreatment of shrews by the organization. He struck out on his own as a private eye, and now he does the work he set out to do long ago. He and his pals, they're kind of like a family. They look out for one another, and for the city. Tammy Tumbler has known Jack since she was a kid. Their relationship hasn't always been a good one, but Jack looked out for her and helped her out of some scrapes. Tammy learned to love machines, and she'll help Jack work on his gear when he feels like it's time for an upgrade. Wanda Fuller is an old friend of Jack's. She's a journalist with information and connections. She's usually hanging out at the Little and Big, waiting for Jack to bring her a new story. In return, she uses her connections to get information. Without Wanda, Jack would be flailing around in the dark half the time. Cornelius Stilton is also a veteran of the war. He was Jack's commanding officer way back then. On returning to civilian life, he became a politician, and after an incident at the opera, he tends to hang around the district near the office to help out. He's got the interests of the city at heart, though he's still on the take. He'll admit as much to Jack in private moments. Still, he knows what's going on behind the scenes, and he wants it stopped. The shrews are disappearing, and someone has to step in, and that someone is Jack, apparently. But Cornelius' help is always appreciated. John Brown is the shrew who runs the Little and Big bar near Jack's office. He wasn't always a bartender, though. He once led a peaceful life, but that changed with the violent destruction of Shrew Thicket. After that, he, like many of his fellow shrews, did what they had to survive. He knows the history and goings-on of the shrew world, and he'll help Jack out when he can. And who could forget the unnamed janitor? You can't talk to him, and we don't know his name, but he's always there, outside Jack's office, sweeping and mopping constantly. Without him, the forces of dirt and grime would succeed in oppressing the cleanliness of the floors. The little district where Jack has his office is a safe-ish place, though danger sometimes creeps in. What makes it work, though, isn't the buildings or the streets, it's the people. That said, there's a whole world here to explore, and Mouseburg has hidden depths, literally and figuratively. There's more to do in Mouseburg besides pummeling bad guys and chasing mysteries, and Jack often finds himself needing to unwind between missions. One of the most popular games among the people of the city is baseball, and while most citizens aren't in the pro leagues, or the minor leagues, or any leagues at all actually, there's still a way to get in on the action. Collecting baseball cards is another of the most popular pastimes, mostly because it doesn't require years of training and intense physical conditioning. These cards are part of a game where players build decks and battle one another. While out on missions, if he really looks around, Jack will be able to find cards lying around, and by the time he's finished a few jobs, he'll have quite a collection. And if not, he can always buy them from the proprietor of Soup to Nuts. Once he has a few to play with, he can take them over to the Little and Big, where he'll always find someone up for a game. Jack also spends some of his time driving from place to place, and when he has to travel, he does it in style. He keeps a car parked near his office that he takes from place to place. He can get around the city much quicker than he could on foot. Now, the machine's been tuned up, and no doubt Tammy's done some work on it, but it doesn't handle the best. Luckily, most of Mouseburg is easily mapped out, and the buildings dance around like they're made of rubber, so he's in no danger of doing any real damage, if he can't keep his eyes on the road. Speaking of Tammy, she's got a shop up the street from the office, and once she finally opens it up, Jack can really start working on some of his weapons. Weapons can be upgraded if Jack can find schematics. Luckily, they're usually just left lying around somewhere. It still takes a bit of searching to find them, but get enough and Jack can really crank up the power on his arsenal. Every weapon's a bit different, but for the most part, they'll hit harder, handle better, and be less of a pain to reload. It's worth the time to go looking. Baseball cards aren't the only thing Jack can collect. There are all sorts of interesting things lying around to find. Newspapers usually have catchy headlines and are worth picking up and reading whenever they can be found. There are comic panels hidden all over the place too, and if Jack can assemble them, they all tell a coherent and topical story. Harder to find are the secret figurines, each one a squat little imitation of Jack himself. Jack has a shelf to fill up, so be sure to go looking everywhere. And of course, every mystery has clues to find, and some of these aren't easy to locate. There are a bunch of these to look for. Many of these items can be bought from Soup to Nuts after the mission's over, if you've missed them too, so make sure to save up your cash. Mouseburg is a twisted mess of mysteries and corruption. A place where some folks are trying to survive, while others are sitting at the top and making bad things happen. Jack Pepper has a lot to do, trying to work it all out and untangle all the knots. He's got his friends with him and his trusty arsenal to call on when things get rough. The danger is very real, and a quick death waits around every corner for anyone without the skills to navigate the turmoil of the world. There's tons to explore, and there are always new secrets worth finding. Just be careful who you trust. Old friends can easily become new enemies, if you dig too deep. The story of Mouse PI for Hire is expertly crafted. It feels coherent, like nothing is wasted or by accident. The animation and visual elements tie everything together really well, and the game gives you the ability to add all kinds of static and film grain effects, which makes your playthrough feel really authentic. The music is amazing. I really love being in the world, and I think the soundtrack's worth picking up. The story's funny and compelling, dark and topical. In short, Mouseburg and its inhabitants are worth a visit, and hopefully we can come back to it again in the future. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate everyone who does, especially if you stick around to the end. If you liked the video, please hit like, and if you really liked it, again, hit subscribe. It'd help me out a lot. Also, I'd love to hear some stories about your adventures in Mouseburg in the comments. Oh, and before you go, I want to give a shout out to my patrons who help support the channel. Our $10 patron is Washuki at the Artisan level. Head on over and sign up for some extra videos I don't put on the channel. It'd really help me out. And remember, blowing stuff up may solve some of your problems, but if you aren't careful, it can also solve the problem of you continuing to be alive. Alright, thank you all. Bye, Internet.